I'm telling a series of stories today about moments in time that were such gifts and that I didn't realize it, I didn't recognize it at the time. And I'm sharing them with you because I believe that each and every one of us has these types of turning point stories or stories that were anomalies, that they were and are gifts to us. So this first one happens very recently. So through a series of circumstances, I ended up going back to the home of my childhood and staying with my aunt. And I've spent the last 6 months or so working really deeply on anxiety and trauma, childhood trauma. So in a way, it's not really surprising that if we get the opportunity to go back to the origin of our life, the origin of our stories, that's a rare and unique opportunity. But I was still frustrated by it, and it felt humiliating to me, to be totally honest with you. But I had to do it. I had to kind of collect myself and get some things in order. And so I did. And this, in my mind, is the act of a warrior. You might not want to go into the battle, but you know that you can, and you know that you're going to make it out okay. That's how you have to walk into these circumstances. So towards the end of my time there, I stayed for nearly 2 months with my aunt, who generously shared her home with me. And I had done things for her to make her life easier, and we'd had a good go of it. And my aunt and I had tension between us in the past, and there were times of tension during this period of time. So I was planning on leaving on a Friday, and then several things happened, and then I was going to leave on Monday. So Saturday night, or was it? No, yeah, it was Friday night. So Friday night, for some reason, my aunt and I got into a bit of a clash. She asked me a question. I got triggered. It was the look on her face. It was her tone of voice. It was that I'd been holding it together so well for so long. And I just looked at her and I said, "You need to stop gaslighting me. Like, this has to stop." And she got into an uproar, and I don't know why. It must have been my tone of voice. It was just the tension that had been gathering for a while. And so she threw things, kicked things, slammed doors. And she's 71 years old. And some people would say, "Renee, why did you have to do that? Why did you have to push like that? Why couldn't you just let it go?" And I think it's all the work. It's all the work. That at some point we realize that we can't keep doing things no matter. We can't keep doing these things the same way that we've always been doing them, the way that we did them as children. So when she came back into the house, she said, "You're calling me a narcissist." And I said, "I didn't say that. I didn't use those words. And if there was anything I was going to say about any of us, is that we're all suffering from codependency." And she wanted me to stay in the house and talk, and I couldn't. But it was dark outside. Dark. Where I come from, the night is dark. There was no full moon. There was no moon. I don't even think there was any moon. It was just the stars above me in the sky. Now, luckily, I grew up on this land, and so I know the roads and the pathways. But there's only one road leading into the backcountry, and that's the direction that I had been walking for the last few days. And so I decided to follow that road. And as I went along, I heard the elk bugling. Now, if you've never heard elk bugling, it is one of the most spectacular, magnificent, wonderful, powerful experiences of your life. And for the past week or so, I'd heard them bugling in the morning and I'd heard them bugling at night. But it appeared that I was walking right into the middle of the elk herd. And I kept walking on the path, the road. I could barely see it. I would look up at the sky, and the stars were spectacular. And if you live in a place that doesn't have, that has a lot of light pollution, you probably can't understand how magnificent the night sky can be. And here I am out in the middle of this dark space, and the stars shining down upon me, and the sounds of the elk are everywhere. And I'm walking right into what feels into the middle of them. And it's pitch black. And there comes a point at which I'm just like, okay, I'm definitely getting close to these animals. And these creatures, these wild animals, are huge. Thousands of pounds, with horns, giant horns on their heads. And it's mating season for them. That's why they're bugling. They're calling each other in, and they're going to clash it out and fight it out. With their horns, they clash them together and lock their horns and wrangle themselves around. That's how they decide that it is decided who gets to mate with the females. Their harem, as it's called. So there's a point at which I know I'm going to go over the hill and it's going to get more difficult to navigate. And so I can just feel the animals around me, and I stop. And I listen, and I breathe. And I've been doing this love meditation, and I breathe in love. And I breathe out love, and I breathe it all the way through my body. And I breathe in love. Love is, I am, my name. Love is, I am, Renee Francis Kahn. I breathe in love. Love is, I am, your name, my name. And I listen to the elk. And there's some over here, and there's some out there. And these two crowds of animals are talking to one another. And it is spectacular, spectacular, like nothing I've ever heard before or seen before. I couldn't see it. All I could do is close my eyes and hear it. And they're calling to each other. These bulls are calling in. They're gonna, and then I'm quiet, and I hear the rustling of grass. I am very close to these animals, and I can hear them breathing. I am very close to these animals. And then I hear smash as this crowd over here goes after it. And I keep breathing it in, and these elk start bugling, and then some out over there, they start bugling, and some up in the hills start bugling, and some back there start bugling, and it's like a symphony, a cacophony of sound of these otherworldly sounds of these amazing, majestic animals. And I grew up seeing these creatures, and my heart is just singing for it. And I want to join in, but I don't want to disrupt it. And I want to be a part of it. And I just want to listen. And then I try to sing and nothing comes. And I try to sing and nothing comes. And then Sing we now of Christmas, Noel sing we here. Sing we now of Christmas, Noel sing we here. And sing we Noel, a babe is born, Noel. A babe is born, a child is born, a babe is born, Noel. Noel, a babe is born, Noel. No, sing we Noel, Noel, sing we here. Sing we Noel, Noel, sing we here. And the elk took off into the mountains. These ones stayed. Crash! A sound like I've never heard before, like the sound of lightning coming through my body, and I was shook, awake. The elk up there stop. You can hear the clashing of the elk horns hooked together, and they're playing it out. These ones stop. The bugling starts, 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 all around me again. I rest in the breath. Love. Love is. I am. My name. A few more rounds of this, and I know it's time to go back home. That I have to continue the conversation with my aunt. I haven't fully formulated what this is all about, except to say that sometimes we have to engage. We have to engage in the conversations that are uncomfortable. We have to have that clash to clear the air. The thing about elk and the bighorn animals, when they smack their heads together, when they smack their horns together, it breaks the sound barrier. It clears us through our whole body. There I was in the dark, and suddenly, wham! In the dark, a sound that split the air, broke the sound barrier, cleared so much energy and tension that ran through my whole family. Epigenetic trauma. I had to go back and continue that conversation with my aunt. We had to talk about. We didn't get into the whole of it. One of the things that she said to me is, what if I'm happy the way things are? And I said, I'm going to continue to love you. You don't have to change, but you have the opportunity to change. You have the opportunity to change because I'm bringing it to your attention. This isn't working for me. But even if you don't change, I'm going to continue to love you. And that is what this love meditation is teaching me. Sometimes we can't be with people because it is unsafe. There is a danger in it. Sometimes we just have to look past it. And sometimes we have to love people from afar. Sometimes we can just let it go. Sometimes we have to engage. It all depends on the situation. But engaging with people and learning to communicate better, that is an offering of love. That is a gift. That is a gift of love. And we should recognize it when we have the courage to do it, that action is of love. So, this is my story about the elk. I wanted to bring it to you. I think that there's going to be more nuances, but while it's fresh in my mind, I wanted to share it. So thank you so much for listening, and enjoy the adventure. We'll be in touch soon.